What's going on YouTube? Kevin here with a video review for the uNu DX1700 mAh battery case for your iPhone 4 and iPhone 4S. So they come in two colors, black and white, and I have both of these here because I asked for them because the white on the homepage, or not the homepage, but their website, the white one looks a little bit dingy, so I wanted to see if the color was actually like that in real life and how it actually compared to what I consider a true white. But nonetheless, that is it's actually quite white. It's actually a little bit whiter than the iPhone, so that's something that I found a little bit odd, but it's good nonetheless. Anyway, let's talk about this. So these are two-part protective cases, and let's actually install one of these onto my iPhone. I'll take the black one. So how you want to install this is you want to kind of like pinch the sides in and then kind of like wiggle it up. I don't like that, but that's the easiest way I found, aside from just like pulling it straight out, which I don't like because it feels like it's going to break the case. So all you do is you simply take your iPhone, and then you slide it into the top, and this is a nice snug fit, so you don't have to worry about anything. It's nice and tight, which I do like. It automatically does start charging, which I don't particularly like, but that might change in your opinion. And then you just slide the case on top, and voila, there you go. So we're going to take a quick look around the design of the actual case and what it features. So first, you will see that you do have a nice large, obviously the whole front screen of the iPhone is accessible for your home button and your speaker and FaceTime camera and ambient light sensor. On the side here, you will see that you do have a nice large cutout for your volume buttons and your silent ringer switch. On the top, you have a cutout for your microphone and your headphone jack. No problems with the headphone jack in terms of the bigger plugs, but if you do have an L-shaped jack, you might want to get an adapter for that, as there is a bit of edging that elevates the case from the actual phone. Nice large button for the sleep-wake button. There's no cutout for the GSM SIM card, so if you guys are GSM users, you might have to actually take your whole phone out to replace the SIM card, which I don't think that would be much of a problem anyway. On the bottom, you have these two holes and these two cutouts for the speaker and then the microphone respectively, and you also have the micro USB port here on the bottom that you use to charge the case itself. On the back here, we have a nice large cutout for the camera and also the button that tells you the amount of power and juice inside the case itself, and also the button to actually start and stop the charging of your iPhone. So now we're going to take a look at some of the features of the case, and of course the battery life has to do with one of them, but first let's take a look at the physical features of the actual cases themselves. So the thing is that both of these have iPhone certification, and it says made for iPhone, so you can be rest assured that these things will not harm your iPhone. You won't have any compatibility issues for both of these cases. Now, a lot of these things that I'm going to say are similar and identical for both cases, but in the end I will split them up because one of these cases outperforms the other. But the build quality of these cases is okay. I like that. That's a good word. Okay. It's not great. It's not poor, it's okay. The covers, especially other parts that I do not like, they are the most gimmicky. If you guys can see here, I'm not sure if you can see it, this part right here is supposed to be parallel and in line with the rest of the siding of the case. But this is because the case is really flimsy. There is a small tab, if you guys can see on this side. Actually, I think it broke off on this side too. Just look at that. There's supposed to be a small tab here, and I'll see if I can pull it out on this case to show you guys. But see here, there's this really small tab right here, and maybe I'll try to get a close-up of this later if I can't get it right now, but this tab is supposed to be on here, and it apparently is snapped off on both of the sides of the black case because this is made of a more flexible material than this one, and that is something I do not like. Both of these covers are rather flimsy, and I do not like the way that they are built. The whole overall case design is not that great, but it still works nonetheless, and you can tell there's quite a bit of difficulty putting the covers on. The buttons, like I said before, are accessible, but the fact is I do not like, they're kind of like a two-stage in my opinion. And what I mean by that is when you put your phone in the case and you push on the buttons to, let's say, sleep it or wake it up from sleep with the sleep wake button, you can push it in one time and then it will be able to, turn the phone on or off. But there is a noticeable difference that you have to push a little bit harder than you would like to get that to activate. I do not like that, so that's something to note. Also, when I mentioned these cutouts on the bottom before, sorry for the lack of clarity, maybe I'll try to get a close-up shot of that later, but these cutouts, they're pretty good, okay? They do not mess with the audio clarity. The clarity is kept and maintained, but the volume of the sound drops, whether it be the microphone going in or the audio coming out of it. So if you're talking to someone on the phone like I have in the past, the other person will hear slightly quieter audio, but clear nonetheless. Same with the audio that comes out. If you're playing music, then the audio will sound a little bit quieter than normal. Like I mentioned before in the beginning of this review, these are protective cases, which means that they protect your iPhone. Like I said before, the lay on the table design is good. I dropped my iPhone like face down on like hard floor and it saved it, so grateful for that. But the rest of the case isn't that great because it's so protective and because there's a battery in it. It's very thick and very heavy. Now itself, the case does not feel heavy, but when you put the iPhone in it, boy, it is very noticeable. And the thing is that you will never realize that you don't have it, and like you'll always know it's there if it's in your pocket. If it's in your bag, of course not. But if you're a guy like me, you keep your phone in your pocket, you're definitely gonna notice it's there. It's quite big, and actually, if you take a comparison look here, okay, so here's the iPhone, and then here is the case. Now, of course, the iPhone's inside the case like this, but you can tell just by that, like this little divot here, this little edge is where the iPhone ends, and this is where the case begins. So it almost doubles the width or the thickness of your iPhone, which is not something that I like, but it's protective, and that's kind of what you get with a battery case this big. So the last thing I have to complain about both of these cases that it's unique, that's unique to both of them, or not unique to both, but similar to both of them, is that they get warm while charging, and this isn't anything to worry about, although it's something to note. One time I just reached into my pocket, like, wow, my phone's really warm, and even though I know I'm a great looking guy, I'm not that hot to warm up my iPhone like that. So these do get a little bit warm while charging, so just be cautious of that. Oh, the one last thing that's a huge downside that both of these cases have that I have to complain about is this thing here, the button. Now, the button itself is not the bad part. It is what it does, the function of it. And this button is supposed to be like, telling you how much charge is in the case, so you know when you're on the go how much juice you have left. Maybe you can like allot your power usage of your iPhone according to the case. But even though the uNu claims that these cases are accurate with this button here and the LED indicators, they are not accurate at all. And I've hardly found a time when they are actually accurate, aside from the fact that when they are 100% right after I charged them. Now, what I mean by this is, you'll notice that there are 4 LEDs. There's 3 here because it's 75% juice, theoretically. But that's a no-go. That's not right. One time I had charged and it had 4 LED lights. So I was like, okay, so I have a full battery left in this thing. I have 1700 milliamp hours in here to use to recharge my iPhone. However, I went to charge my iPhone for 10 minutes and then it died on me. That is absolutely horrible. There's no excuse for that. Something that's that drastic and that bad should not be on the market. I'm sorry. uNu really has to fix that. And sometimes when this is charging, it'll be charging and then I'll press it, it's a 100% battery. And I know that's not right. It's been charging for half an hour or an hour. And it takes 2 hours to completely drain both of these batteries. And the fact that it didn't read correctly made me suspicious. So I pressed the button again, and to my surprise, the one light went out. And I pressed it again, another light went out. So it doesn't, when it's charging and then you push the button the first time, it does not show it accurately. So be sure to press it multiple times to get to that when that light actually falls. And you might be surprised that you might hit it twice and then boom, you're out of juice. But these LED indicators are not accurate at all, so that's something that really bugs me about both of these cases. The last thing I guess I said the last thing many times, but the one thing that both these cases have in common is that they do not actually give you the battery life that they promise. They promise 1700 milliamp hour battery case to charge your iPhone, which has about 1430 milliamp hour battery inside of it. It does not come close to giving you double your battery life. The most charge I've ever gotten out of any one of these given cases, and given that these are both identical, they only give you up to about 77% at most. And that's like the most I've ever gotten. That's like when I first got it out of the packaging. Ever since, it's only given me about 66, 67%. So 2/3 of what this iPhone has. That's what it gives. It doesn't double it. It doesn't more than double it like you would expect it to based on the math, but it only gives you, on average, about 66 to 70% battery charge. Absolutely bad. I'm sorry to say, I do not like these cases all that much because of that. They don't really hold the promise that they're supposed to double your battery life, and just the execution of it is very poor. So at this point in the review, I'm going to kind of split these up because these cases do not perform identically, if I'm saying that correctly, but they do not perform the same, and I give them a different rating because of that. So we're going to start off with the white one here because this one has the most problems. Surprise, surprise. Now, the one thing that this white case in particular bothers me the most is that it has absolutely horrible flash obstruction with the camera. Now, even though you do see that this cutout here is relatively large, and when you stick the iPhone in it, you have a nice clearance between the camera and the flash here, you will notice that when you take flash photography pictures, you will see that the picture gets washed out. And I will show an example of this. I have 3 pictures, one without the case, one with the white case, and one with the black case. And I'll show you guys what that looks like at this very moment of the review. So you kind of see that, no case, absolutely just no case at all. It's pretty good. With the black case, pretty much the same. It's pretty darn good. And then the white one, bam, all this is washed out. Very ugly, bad picture. If you're taking a picture and it's something that happens only once, you're going to miss that moment because it's going to be all washed out. So be cautious of that. If you do get the white case, make sure you turn your flash off in case so you don't miss that opportunity or that picture or whatever. Also, the hard plastic backing is an oil magnet. I cannot believe how much I had to wipe this down. This gets very disgusting by the end of the day if you have very oily fingers, kind of like I do, which is gross and I hate to admit it. But nonetheless, that is that. It does collect oil quite easily and does not wipe off very easily. It just kind of spreads it around. Also, I did have this weird goo. I don't like to say that word because it sounds really nasty, but it was kind of nasty. Like around the inner rim underneath this ledge here, you can't really see it because I wiped it away, but there's this like adhesive, sticky, gray stuff that formed, and I'm not sure what that was. It wasn't any adhesive that was on here. It might have been the screen protector I had, but this screen protector has served me a long time, giving me no problems. But that just happened, and I had to wipe it away. It was very hard to get rid of. It was in a lot of the nooks and crannies that I did not like. And yeah, so that might happen to you. Might not happen to everyone, but that's that in case it does, so you guys know ahead of time. Also, this thing vibrates really loudly on the table. So if you have your iPhone in it and you get a text message, it will ring really loudly, especially if it's on like a wooden desk or something like that. So it does vibrate really loudly, which can be a little bit distracting if you're the type of person that doesn't like that. Moving on to the black case, this one is a little bit better. Actually, it's a decent amount better than the white one. So there's not much to say about that. Like I said before, the flash is pretty good on this one, so nothing to worry about there. But the black has a very flimsy cover. And as I showed you earlier in the video, this thing actually, the tabs on here actually broke. So it doesn't really clip on that well, and it is a little bit difficult to actually align it up and then put the case on. The best thing to do is actually just kind of like put it flat on the table and then line up and then push it in. That's the easiest way to get it to fit. So, and yeah, you can see here that this part, let's see if I can zoom in here. This part doesn't really line up anymore because that tab broke right there. But anyway, we're going to say more about this. It is a matte case, so it does attract fingerprints a little bit, but that is easily wiped off, as is the dust that this collects. If you're someone like me who sticks your phone in your pocket, it does get a little bit linty, and but you can wipe that away. Oil from your fingers will wipe easily off, and yeah, so there's not really much about this. The thing I don't like is the flimsy cover and the fact that it attracts a lot of things like oil and dust, but again, those things are wiped away pretty easily, so I'm not too worried about that. So that pretty much wraps up my review for the uNu DX1700 milliamp hour battery case for your iPhone 4 and iPhone 4S. I want to thank you guys for watching. The one thing I almost forgot to mention, the price of this. Both of these cases retail for $59.99 or $59.95, whatever, $60 US, and I give the white case a rating of 4 out of 10, and then the black case a 6 out of 10. I know those are very bad ratings, and the fact is that they are not so great cases. Both of these are very heavy, although they are protective, so that is good. They are very heavy, they're very thick. They do not double your battery life like you would expect. If you want 1700 milliamp hour battery juice, these aren't going to deliver that. These are going to deliver you like 66, 2/3 of that, so do the math. Not good at all. And a lot of these things, especially with the white one, the huge flash obstruction is absolutely terrible. So I would not recommend the white one. Maybe give the black one a shot. But again, if you can find a better like battery case for $60, I'd probably recommend to get those instead of the uNu DX1700 milliamp hour battery case. I'm sorry to the company. I know they worked hard to produce this. I always feel bad giving a bad review, but I put my honesty first, and these cases are just not good. There are a lot of factors that I do not like about them, such as the inaccurate LED indicators, the flash obstruction on the white one, the heaviness of it, and just a lot of other things that I do not like. But overall, they're not absolutely horrendous, but they're still bad, to say the least. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So that wraps up the review for the uNu DX1700 mAh battery case. Go ahead and check out their website. It's myunu.com. A link will be down below in the description. And as always, feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe for more content in the future. And I will see you guys in the next video review.